When I think of a good game to play that has too long of a title, Enderlillies, the Quietest of Nights comes to mind. Enderlillies is a 2D Metroidvania Souls-like game where you play as a priestess. No, not that type of priestess. She's too young, I think. Named Lily, and have no memory of how you ended up where you are now. And not to sound like a soy boy, but this whole game is a vibe, from its art to music to gameplay to story. Everything here just feels, sounds, plays, and tastes amazing. The first thing you notice about this game is the art. It sets up a world that's been buckled to the cold floor beneath by the hands of the blight. Environments are chaotic and detailed, inhabited by what were humans living a happy life, now brushed off the face of the world like dirt on Jay-Z's shoulder. Now the music. Oh, the music! If the art is the uppercut, then the music is the right hook. It helps mold the atmosphere of each environment. In-game, it's this beautiful blend of having your attention without being overbearing on your ears after listening to it for however long you've been stuck on a level. And you will get stuck. Remember, Enderlillies is a Souls-like game, but not in the way where it makes you wonder if the devs played their own game to see if it was actually possible to beat, but more in the way that you know what's happening on screen. Enemy attacks are always telegraphed with the silenced brand crab glowing eyes, so you know when to attack, dodge, or parry. Now, I'm not trying to downplay the difficulty of the game and just saying look for the glowing eyes and dodge. I'm just saying that there is a way to know when your enemy is going to attack. Speaking of attack, let's move on to the more interesting part of Enderlillies. You attack by using spirits. You gain spirits by defeating a boss or mini-boss and purifying them of blight. As a thanks for basically killing them, you gain that boss as a spirit. You have 2 groups available to you where you can place up to 3 spirits in each group. You got shit like the triple cum shot spider, a giant monster that comes out when you parry at just the right time, and this teeny turd. Yeah, get him. Each spirit can be upgraded by finding a specific blight to increase attack damage or add another combo. With boss abilities, you're able to perform a special attack once the special bar is filled to perform a gnarly ability.
Now it's time for my ultimate move! Ha!
Amanda, please take me back. The ceiling fan community calls it fan greasing, not fan fucking. Spirits have a cooldown and a certain amount of uses, apart from the basic attack spirits, because you know, they're basic attacks, and can be partially refilled when you attack this red flower, or can be fully refilled when you reach a resting point. Along with this, when you defeat a boss, like a boss, the one that has its own boss music, you gain a passive ability, such as being able to cling to walls, grapple to these lanterns, and fly for a short duration in the air, which will allow you to explore more of the world. While we're on the topic of exploring, let's move on to that. While exploring, you can find these relics littered around the entire map, which give you buffs, such as defeating enemies rewards you with some HP, reduce incoming damage from enemies, and even parry. And just as an FYI, you're able to parry early on in the game, just not at the start. Killing enemies gives you XP for you to level up, and when you level up, instead of receiving a +1 to HP and attack, you only get a +1 to attack, along with increasing the amount you heal by when using a healing prayer. And in the case of attaining more HP, you can find these amulets which give you a +5 to HP for every one that you find. Moving on from that, we get the story of the game. Now, there isn't story per se, but there is lore, and sure, people can argue, just find all the notes, you lazy cunt, to figure out what the story is. To that I say, I'm an explorer, not a completionist. I'll explore every nook and cranny of a level if I'm in that level, but if I don't find anything interesting to come back to, then I ain't going back unless I still have a main objective to follow. Anyway, back to what I was talking about before I got so rudely interrupted. You get lore by finding these notes on the floor that describe what's going on in the world. You also get some lore on the bosses that you defeat with the personal lore cutscene. And let me tell you, the writing for the bosses hits you right in the heart, with each boss trying to protect something or someone before being infected with the blight. It's honestly some real sad shit that gave me goosebumps. Of course, I'm not gonna show any of that because it's better if you see it firsthand. My few criticisms about Enderlillies are that some of the abilities in the game aren't too useful, such as this slug thing that I've only found useful once, or this bow guy who is pretty useless since it can only hit things above and to the left or to the right of you. Puzzles are extremely simple and require you to look for a lever to open this door. And the ending boss fight was extremely underwhelming compared to the rest of the boss fights. These are the major ones that I've noticed, but other than that, I don't really have any more criticisms on the game. In short, Enderlillies is a game that you'll like if you're into Souls-like games or even if it's your first time experiencing one. The art is excellent, the music is beautiful, and the gameplay feels fluid. And when you die, it usually doesn't feel like bullshit. Well, apart from this.
Huh? What?
The lore is interesting, and the price for entry is way too fair for what you're getting. Like, shit, this is too reasonably priced. Say less, my man, say less. Which is why I'm giving Enderlillies a reasonable 8.5 out of 10.